Thank you so much for having me, everybody. Thanks a lot for being here. What I've learned from this conference so far is that everyone is a lot smarter than me. Wow. Can we start from the top? What is a blog? Second question, what's the internet? I don't know. You guys tell me. Help me out, all right? I also want to point out that this sign is amazing. This man has blogged so hard that he no longer has a face. That's pretty incredible, guys. That's how hard of a blogger he is. I also love the slogan of this conference because at any moment in time, I feel like he's about to punch his dad in the face. His dad's like, what's a computer? Boom! There it is. Dino actually asked me to do this, and it was funny because he's like, okay, so what are you thinking for the conference? Like, what are some of your ideas for the conference? And I was like, okay, here's what I'm thinking. And I gave him the answer that I thought he wanted to have. I was like, how about this? Like, I'll talk about how comedians are using social media to get more popular, and Louis C.K., all these guys. And Dino listened, and he's like, I don't like it. Without even missing a beat, he's like, nope. Let me tell you why. That sucks. I hate it. And guys, when you look like a young Al Pacino, you can do whatever you want, all right? Give it up for Gino. Amazing, guys. Come on. It's incredible. I also am not used to not using a microphone, so I might be using this occasionally. It is a marker, okay? So it's fine. This is my microphone. It's fine. Occasionally I won't because I don't know what to do with my hands, all right? It's a lot of weird stuff, but all right, so I want to talk about, I guess I'm going to totally switch gears here because I don't really know that much about blogging. I mean, I have a website. It's okay. Should probably update it more. But I want to talk about comedy because that's my favorite thing, and I love comedy. And Dino said, how about this? How about your talk be called How to Be Funny? And I was like, okay. I don't know that you can teach that. I think that's like teaching people how to love or teaching people how to have sex. I don't think you can really do that. But they're actually very different because in sex, you don't want people laughing at you. But sorry, I also got these little crappy note cards. All right, but this is hey, come on, guys. All right, so comedy. I love comedy so much. Steve Martin once said that comedy is the ego's last stand, which I think is a really good idea. It's like totally yourself. Comedians are also little whiny babies. They get very upset if people don't think they're funny, but you got to just go with it. Jerry Seinfeld also called comedy a pirate profession, meaning like someday you're just like, hey, guess what? I'm a comedian. I'm a pirate. Same thing. You don't take training. You don't go to class. You just do it, and that's it. And that's what I would say to a lot of people here is like, just do it. There's no substitution for doing it. If you're interested in comedy, the only thing that anybody will ever tell you is to do it. Do it as much as you can. Take a risk. Do whatever you want. Do what you can. And this is also something that brings me to, I think, one of my most important points I want to say today is comedy is so much about being in the moment. Okay? Just because if you have a joke. For example, if something falls, you got to comment on it. All right, there you go. All right, so for example, let's say you have a joke that doesn't work, or you wanted to say something that's really funny and no one's laughing. It doesn't mean that you're not funny, and it doesn't mean that your joke sucks. It just means in that moment, it didn't work. Woody Allen once said that if a guy trips and falls on stage and everybody laughs, it's funny. If a guy trips and falls on stage and no one laughs, it's not funny. So that is the clearest definition of comedy to me. It's like you let the audience decide. And I think what I really want to say is comedy a lot is about taking risks. So take risks. If you are writing something that you want to talk about and that you think you're really interested in, take a risk. And this is one of my favorite stories because I feel like comedians say everything that people are thinking and no one is saying. Yeah. That's a good example, I think, of comedy. And this is one of my favorite stories about that. I have a godson. He is 12 years old. At the time, he was 6. And my uncle has this tradition at his house where on Thanksgiving, everybody goes around the kitchen table and says what they are thankful for, okay? So there's like 10 people around the kitchen table. My really traditional Catholic grandparents are there hanging out. And everyone's going around, they're like, I'm thankful for you guys, I'm thankful for family. And finally, Patrick, my godson, interrupts this whole talk and he just goes, this is boring! Which is exactly what everybody was thinking anyways. So why not just say it? That's the point of that. A.J. Jacobs is an author, and he's great. And he wrote this book called The Guinea Pig Diaries. And what it was in every month he would do this new social experiment, see how it worked. One of the experiments he did was called radical honesty, where he would just talk to anybody on the phone and say exactly what he was thinking. It'd be offensive a lot of times to people because they'd be thrown off. But what he found most interestingly was that when you're radically honest to somebody, they will be it right back to you, which I think is really cool about comedy. If you open yourself up, if you say what you're thinking, if you feel like it's a risk, people might be put off at first, but in the end, people will open up themselves to you. And I think one of the best examples, one of the riskiest things I've ever seen done in comedy, and if you guys are ever worried about taking a risk in comedy, you don't know if it's possible, you don't know if you should say this thing, just remember one moment for me that was like the seminal moment in comedy in the last 10 years. And that was when Stephen Colbert roasted George W. Bush in 2006. If you're not familiar with this video, it's not about the politics, but I'm saying, like, if you just sit there and watch this guy completely trash pretty much everybody in the room within, you know, like the most powerful people in the world, and he stood there for 40 minutes and he was bombing. Like, it is not going well. But that's what he believed, and that's what he was risky. So that was pretty great. Sir, you have a great body. Handsome man. Okay, so also, you guys like Kurt Vonnegut? Yeah, he's good. You guys know Kurt Vonnegut? Kurt Vonnegut, one of my favorite authors, this is another true story about people being risky, is when he was early in his writing career, he was very broke. He had no money. And so he got a job writing for Sports Illustrated. First day of the job, he had to cover a steeplechase. And he sat down at his computer or his typewriter, there weren't computers, for about 4 hours. Then he just gets up and leaves and walks out of the office. And people were like, okay. He wrote one sentence in the typewriter. People went up and looked at the sentence, and it just said, "The horse jumped over the fucking fence." That's it. Walked out. So my point of all this, there is a point, is to definitely, I think, and of course you will get and sometimes you do get yourself in trouble in comedy, but that's sometimes the line you have to cross. And I'm not advocating, obviously, you offend people. A lot of comedians have gotten in trouble recently for some of the things they've said. But if you're in the moment, going back to this, it will be funny, I promise. A good example of this, I went to go see a movie in Times Square at that big Empire 42, whatever that. I went to go see a movie called Win-Win. And in the trailers, there was a trailer for Transformers 2. Theater's packed, okay? Transformers 2 trailer shows, it's over. We just hear one guy yell out in the back, "Garbage! Garbage!" It killed. Everyone loved it. They thought it was the greatest thing ever. I was clapping. It was amazing. All right, it was funny. But it could have very easily not been funny. People could have been annoyed if he was like, after the trailer, he was like, "9/11 was an inside job." Not funny. All right, so also another writer who I really helped me out in comedy is Malcolm Gladwell, and he wrote Blink. And in Blink, he talks about improv comedy, and he said how your instincts are true. So I would say always listen to your instincts. Don't numb them. If you think something's funny, just say it. It might not work, but that is your truest voice. My best jokes I've ever written in my life were ones that just came to me. I wasn't sitting there for hours, violently scribbling, trying to figure out what to say. And Malcolm Gladwell, also a very popular comedy theater in New York City is the Upright Citizens Brigade. And literally where a lot of the modern comedians on television come from, they go to the theater to get these people. Literally their slogan is "Don't think." Because when you do improv, you can't be funny. There's nothing more unfunny than somebody trying to be funny, right? So it's all about just like letting it come to you and not going to chase it, is what I would say. All right, and also I would say don't worry about bombing, okay? Or bombing, or not going over well. I have done maybe 3,000 comedy shows in maybe some of the worst venues you can possibly imagine. I have done comedy in the basement of a taco restaurant using a beer bottle as a microphone, okay? For 3 people. I have yelled at a Marine, which I didn't know he was a Marine. I'll tell you guys that story. I was in an internet cafe doing comedy. Don't ever do that. No one's listening. Everyone's on their computers, just trying to use their computers. A lot of times what happens in comedy is it's what's called blitz comedy, where people are like, "Hey, I'm going to go out and have a nice night at the bar." And everyone's like, "Comedy show!" And everyone's like, "I don't want comedy, this sucks." So you have to perform for these people who don't even want you to be there. So we're at this internet cafe. I go up, do not do well. This was about 3 years ago. Do not do well. My friend goes up, bombing, horrifically. This guy turns around and he's like, "Hey, I thought there was supposed to be comedy here," like heckling him. So I immediately I just lost it. I was like, "Hey man, what do you do for a living?" He's like, "I'm a Marine." I was like, "Thanks for your service." All right. Thank you. I'm a Marine. I was like, it was the worst. But yeah, I've been heckled. I mean, not that bad, but I've had friends who've had beer bottles thrown at them. So what I'm saying is, point of the story is don't worry about bombing. Actually, Larry David, some of you might know this story, what he's really known for before all of Seinfeld was when during his stand-up career, he would go in front of audiences, take a look around, and if he didn't like the audience, he would get off and leave and not even perform. That's what he's, honestly, that's what he's famous for. Okay, so that's great. So I've one of my first comedy shows, that was my big show. I performed in front of 400 people in Easton, Maryland. I bombed horrifically. I had no idea what a set was. At one point, someone even yelled out, "We're on your team," but he did it like in a southern accent, and I was like, what does that mean? So I was like, I don't know. But all right, this comes to I want to say another important thing is write what you know. What I really like, what a lot of people have said so far, is it's so applicable to what a lot of the speakers have said so far to comedy, about finding your own unique voice. Don't worry about what other people say. Like, that is so important. And also, write what you know. If you're going to write a joke, or if you're going to be funny about something, write only the things you know. Like, I've tried to write all kinds of things. I remember the first time I tried to tackle racism. Bad idea, okay? Like, from like, when you're not good at comedy, it's not a good idea. But it's borderline offensive, and people get scared. So, write what you know. And this is when I'll tell you guys an example of something, or write what you think is really funny. And I got a couple of clips, a couple of things I want to show you. So Facebook, we all know it, we all have it. One of the things I think I hate the most about Facebook is how everybody's lives look so much better than they really are, right? That's what we do. Especially with Instagram now, everybody's just glowing all the time on Facebook. It's amazing. So my friend Lance, one of my best friends in comedy, his girlfriend broke up with him. He was heartbroken, destroyed. And so like a year later, they've still broken up. He's still destroyed about it. She starts posting all these pictures of her and her new boyfriend at Cannon Beach, Oregon, which is like the greatest place of all time. They're holding a dog. Her life's going great. So I'm like, all right, dude, we got to get revenge. All right. So I did a little thing called the Facebook treatment. What I did was I copy and pasted a random photo from Facebook, pretended like we were actually at this party, and we weren't. Let me show you. What you should also know for this is that Molly, his ex-girlfriend, works for Hilton Hotels. So I had to just throw this plug in. Here, this is all made up. Yo, here's that pic I took. Thanks for the invite. I still don't know how you got in. Your friends are awesome, man. One thing I thought I would never say in my life. Thanks for the ride, Mr. Marriott. He was actually a cool dude. Awesome, man, with Lance Weiss. So I tagged him in this photo, and he's not even there. So I just want Molly to see this photo and think that his life was going awesome. Chances are he was probably crying about her. So it's fine, guys, it's fine. Totally cool. Also, I also have written stuff for McSweeney's, which is a popular humor magazine started by Dave Eggers, which he is a great author. And so I decided to, it's a very like high-end, smart humor publication, but I decided to write about bears, because that's something I knew, and also a girl I liked really liked bears, so okay. So this is called Bear Market. It's a pretend stock market, and what the symbol would be if the bears actually ran the stock market. So here it is. River full of salmon, the symbol would be RFS. Forest fire prevention, symbol would be Yogi. Buckets of honey would be HYN. Shake car until food comes out, Ford. The 4-month nap corporation, Z's. Moral lessons provided through a stable nuclear family, Bernstein. Unsuspecting tourist, UST. Garbage that tastes good, Luna Bar. Documentary filmmakers, DFS. Lovable but unsuccessful children, Cubs. Come on, guys. I'm a Cubs fan. Let's go. Come on, let's do it. So yeah, so that's what I want to say about that. And also another little trick about being humorous. Sometimes repetition works, right? If you show things a lot, sometimes it eventually does become funny. Or if you talk about something a lot, eventually, sometimes if you blow it out, it's really funny. Here's an example of a video that only gets funnier the more you watch it. Here we go. Okay, one more time, just for effect. All right, good. All right, and that's it. The nunchuck throw was huge. That was great. That was great. All right, well, I was recently, one more thing I wanted to say about bombing. I was recently on a Bravo matchmaking show. It was pretty bad. No one watched it. It was called Love Broker. And I was on Love Broker. And no one watched it. It's fine. It was on at like 6 o'clock. And someone, like, their whole portrayal of me, they were like, Brennan jokes too much. He does not serious enough for love. So on Bravo, the Facebook, they had their own Facebook page. And they're like, what did you guys think of, they're like, what did you guys think of Brennan? Rate Brennan, how he was. And somebody wrote underneath, they posted a picture of me and someone wrote underneath it, well, we thought Brennan was just, it was too much jokes. You got to calm down. He had a gong too much, which is stupid. And he goes on and on. This guy was just ripping me. And so I'm like, well, I'm looking at this. I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, I know what I do. I like this post. So now he knows that I'm looking at whatever he does. It's pretty great. It's totally great. Oh yeah, another thing I would say is like don't pander. Kind of what you guys were saying, some of the speakers were saying earlier. Don't try and be somebody else that you're not. You know, like I don't want to come up here and tell RSS jokes because I don't even know what that is. So I can't go up here and talk about WordPress themes. No idea. I don't even know what COP. What were you guys just saying? That was insane. I have no idea. It sounded awesome. But that's it. That's that instinct where I'm like, maybe if I do this, like, you know, people will like me more. But I'm like, I don't know what that is. So, you know your audience. And yeah, so I'll leave you guys on this last thing I want to say is kind of going off of what I was saying earlier. Always, definitely, always trust your instincts. And always, especially if you feel like you're in the moment, trust me, it will be funny. I promise you. Like, trust who you are. And a lot of what Lena said, definitely confidence is really important. If you think something's funny and you're confident with it, people will laugh. Well, that's it. You guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great experience. Thank you, Julia.